Welcome everybody. Nice to have you all here today. A nice small group, so I'm hoping that will mean that any questions that you have, we will be able to thoroughly answer. We do still want to go through our presentation so that we make sure that the people who see the recording will be able to get all that information. But I will ask you at the beginning what you are interested in hearing, so take a second to think about what you really want to get out of our presentation. My name is Ms. Schellenberg. I am one of the vice principals here at NW.
And I am Marika Melvin, and I am one of the counselors here at NW.
So Ms. Melvin and I work quite closely together because both admin and counseling teams here work using an alpha, meaning that students with last names starting with certain letters are the students that can come to us. Of course, we work with any and all students, so sometimes there's a different fit in terms of which administrator your student may prefer to connect with, and or sometimes with the counselor they may do a quick check-in with somebody they may connect with, but in general we service and work with students letters myself A through D, and Ms. Melvin A through...
I'm C,
Sorry,
H actually, to H-A, if that's your child's last name. Stay with me. Yeah, it's hard to keep track.
It is hard to keep track. I do keep that on my favorites on my phone. Before we get into all the details, I want to acknowledge the Kakite First Nation. We are so lucky at our school to work so closely with the Kakite First Nation, and we want to really celebrate and acknowledge that we are on the unceded territory of Kakite and all Coast Salish peoples. So we are so grateful to be on this land. We have a full agenda today, but I am curious if there is something specific you really are hoping to get out of tonight so that we may spend extra time on that. Okay?
We're going to cover a little bit of everything, so.
Yeah, if you think about it, please let us know. We really want to make sure that we get your questions answered. As I mentioned, my name is Ms. Schellenberg. We have 4 amazing administrators working here at NW. Mr. McLeod is our principal, Ms. Kwan is our senior vice principal, and then myself and Ms. Molly are vice principals. You can see here, as I mentioned, we all work with all the students, but there are certain last names of students that we specifically focus on, so you or your child know who they may go to if you have a question, a really great compliment, a concern, etc. So you can see here who you might connect with. I am A through D. I also work to support students who have IEPs, or if you have questions about inclusive education support. And I will let Ms. Melvin continue.
All right.
That's for you.
No, you don't have to work this thing.
It's all the power.
So you can see here we have actually 6 counselors. For 5 of us are working with the general student body, and then Sareka Jagpal in the corner here, she works with the Sigma students. So as we said, obviously we will support and help any and all students, but we do have assigned caseloads. So Mr. Mitchell, Nancy Milne, myself, Jennifer Towers, and Erin Kenny are the counselors here. So we're basically giving you guys an overview of just kind of everything what's going to happen basically in grade 11, the courses your child is expected to take. We're going to have some time for questions after the presentation. So if you think of something, we'll be happy to answer that after. So we're going to be doing course planning with your children on January 30th. So that's one of the incomplete days. So you would have got an email sent home that this is like a mandatory presentation. Obviously, if you can't make it, just let us know. But this video recording of this presentation will be posted on our website if you need a reminder or you have some questions you need to refer back to. So they'll have a presentation on the 30th. They will get their course selection paper sheets, and then we'll go through this a little bit more at the end, but they'll also be expected to do the online course selection as well on my end. So by this point you probably know that students need 80 credits to graduate. Courses are worth 4 credits each. So of those 80, 13 of them are required courses, 7 are elective courses, And then if your child's in French immersion, they'll also have a few more required courses because they have the French language courses to do as well. So I'm not going to go into this in too much detail. It's a lot of information, but that's a basic breakdown of it. So for grade 11, your child has 4 required classes to take. So we have the English language arts, social studies, math, and a science class. If your child is in French immersion, they will also have their French language course to take as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the courses, especially the required courses that your child will need to take. But the descriptions of these courses, I'm not going to go through every course and describe them because that will take too long. But the course descriptions, all of the descriptions can be found on our website. You can find it under the student tab, I believe, and also the counseling tab. So, and that'll give descriptions for every single course we offer. So the first required course is in English 11. So you can see we have many options. And I'm sure you're aware of the Indigenous focused credit that students have to take at some point before graduation. They can get that credit through English 10, English 11, English 12, or a Socials 12 course. So if they have not done this course in grade 10, like an English First Peoples course, I would recommend they do it in grade 11. Of course, they have grade 12 that they could do an English First Peoples 12, but maybe this would be a good time to get it, just to make sure they have it before graduation. So within those courses, there's kind of 3 different flavors of courses that they could choose from. So there's an English First Peoples Writing, a Spoken Language, and a New Media. Hello. Hello. Welcome. If they've already gotten their credit in grade 10 for the English First Peoples, then they can just take a regular English 11 like composition, creative writing, and so forth. And then for social studies, so this course, they do not have to necessarily do a social studies in grade 11. They need a social studies 11 or 12 to graduate. So they can take social studies 11, the explorations in social studies 11, they can do that in grade 11, or they can take a grade 12 course in grade 11. Alternatively, they could wait and not take a socials class in socials course in grade 11, and they could just do a socials course in grade 12. So it's not a socials 11 and 12, it's 11 or 12. Of course, they're welcome to take an 11 and 12 if they want, but they do not have to. And it's kind of nice because they get a lot of selection. So for the grade 11 course, we only offer just the exploration in socials 11, but obviously for the grade 12 courses, they have a lot of options. Down at the bottom there, we have the French social studies options. So if your child is in French immersion, this bottom one, I'm not going to attempt to say it, that's BC First Peoples in French, and that will give them their Socials 12 credit, their Indigenous Focus credit, and their French credit, French Socials credit. So that's kind of a 3-for-1 deal there. Now math, this might be a little bit hard for some of you to see. I put this little kind of web up there just to show the different options for math. So for grade 11, there's kind of 3 options of grade 11 courses. So we have the Workplace Math 11, Foundations of Math 11, and the Pre-Calculus 11. So if your child is interested in going into sciences, for example, they should be probably taking pre-calculus, as that is what the universities require. And other courses, other programs, like arts programs, will accept foundations. However, I will say that it's important to look on the websites and really look into this of each university that your child might be interested in going to determine for sure what math they need. But generally, pre-calculus is one that's accepted in all programs, and that's kind of like the hardest math we offer. The Workplace Math 11, if students have done Workplace Math 10, that's the option for them to go to Workplace Math 11. This course is not university acceptable. However, students can go to college with Workplace Math and then transfer to university. So they can still go to university with that math, just not directly from high school. So there's a few options there. We also have an apprenticeship math 12, and if students have done workplace math 10, they can go directly into apprenticeship math 12 as well, especially if they're interested in doing trades. They can go directly to that course. If they have not done pre-calculus 11, they should not be doing pre-calculus 12. It's too big of a jump, and that goes for calculus 12 too. It kind of goes in the order of pre-cal 11, pre-cal 12, and then calculus. Same with foundations 11, foundations 12. So are there any questions about math? I know that's a lot of information. Yes?
So a grade 11 student could have pre-calc in their first term, do pre-calc 12 in the second, and then do calculus 12 in
grade 12. Yep,
okay.
Absolutely. They just pick that on the course selection sheet,
Yeah.
but yes, that's possible. Okay, so sciences, this is the another required course they need, the last kind of required course. So as you can see, we have a number of options. The same kind of goes for chemistry and physics. If you have not done chemistry 11 or physics 11, it is a very big jump and probably going to be too difficult to go right to chem 12 or physics 12. So we recommend the grade 11 courses first. And again, if you're at this age, the kids should kind of be thinking about what they want to do in post-secondary, because the post-secondary has, each school has different requirements for what they want. So if you're going into sciences, you're going to need probably the physics 11, chemistry 11, pre-cal 11. So I would encourage, I know it's kind of hard to know exactly what you want to do at this age. You guys are still young, the students are still young, so it's hard to know, but generally students have an idea if they like sciences, if that's kind of their thing. They should be looking into some of these universities now and kind of trying to see what courses, what grade 11 courses they should be taking now. Also for anatomy and physiology 12, that's bio 12, students do not necessarily need to take biology 11 beforehand, because biology 11 is plant and animal cells, whereas biology 12 is the human body. However, I will say that it is a pretty tough course, so sometimes taking the grade 11 class first can kind of build them up to what's coming. It's pretty heavy, a lot of work, lots of labs, lots of memorization. But some kids are ready for that. So the science for citizens, kind of like workplace math, is not a university acceptable course. So again, your child could take this course, but then they would probably have to go the college route first and then transfer to university with that course. Now, one graduation requirement, at some point before your child graduates, they need to have an arts or an ADST course at some point in their grade 10, 11, or 12 year. So not one of each year, just one arts or one ADST at some point in grade 10, in grade 11, or in grade 12. So if your child doesn't have that, that is something they really need to get. So we have many, many options, as you can see. So arts education is made up of things like music, drama, dance, and then like fine arts, visual arts. ADST is applied design skills and technology courses. Those are like shop classes, cooking. We have some fashion sewing courses if your child's into textiles, computer courses, business courses, many different options. So these are considered ADST courses. Yes?
You said that they could take them in grade 10, 11, or 12. I don't see any grade 10 courses out there.
I just didn't put them up because your kids are going to be in grade 11, but yes, we have most of these courses at the grade 10 or 12 level. Not all of them, but most of them. Yeah, good question though. Oops, I'm going backwards. And then as well, there's physical education courses. We don't have too many at the grade 11 level, so we have active living, which is essentially PE 11, and then fitness and conditioning, which is more like body conditioning. They learn a lot about health, nutrition, building of muscles, different muscle groups. So there's an education component, but they also do a lot of the weights, and they do drills and that sort of thing, but it's more body conditioning. And then we have many different Z-block options. So Z-block options are courses that happen after school or before school. These are 4-credit courses, so they get credits for them. And it just gives them the opportunity to be involved in sports and get credit for them. And also for our languages, this is another thing that your child should keep in mind. If they have not taken a language, it is not too late. For example, UBC, SFU, UVic, they're going to want to see the language at a grade 11 level. So for kids that think, oh no, I haven't done a language, now I'm going to have to go back and do it in a grade 9 class. No, they are not, because we have the intro language classes, which are grade 11 classes, but they cover the grade 9 and 10 content in one semester. So kind of a intensive class. And then the next semester, they could take the grade 11 content in the grade 11 class. If that makes sense. So they could do introductory Spanish first semester, get the grade 9 and 10 content, do Spanish 11, the next semester get the grade 11 content. And then that would give them all they need for their university admission. So there's that option as well. And then of course for the French immersion, they have some French language options as well. Oops. Okay, so things to consider during course selection. As I mentioned, it's important to check the websites because every university or college or post-secondary institution has different requirements, and also they change. I mean, I think they, for the most part, try to keep pretty consistent and not change every year, but they do sometimes change the requirements. So it's important to look and make sure your child meets the requirements. As well, there's general university requirements, like maybe they say, oh, you need English 12 to get in, and kids think, oh, awesome, for sure, that's so easy, I have that. But then, maybe specifically for a science program, you need certain courses, or an arts program, you need certain courses. So that's something that they also have to make sure they check into. And then, as I mentioned, there's always the option to go to college. University is very competitive, as we know. And I always encourage kids to have, you know, a plan A, B, C, D. And we have some excellent colleges here in the area, and that is always an option. Cheaper, smaller class sizes, and that's an option as well. And the kids can live at home for a couple years before going off to university, and it's kind of a bit of a stepping stone. So that's an option as well. So yeah, just to consider career goals. Do you need a language? 11, what math do I need to get into these schools, into these specific programs? These are some important things to consider. Again, thinking about our local universities, so UBC, they require 6 approved grade 12 classes. That is not necessarily academic. For sure they do require some, depending on what program your child's going into, but they do require 6 grade 12 level approved courses. SFU and UVic require 5 approved courses. Now what's a little frustrating is UBC does not publish their list of approved courses, so it's hard to know what that is. But SFU has an amazing list, same with UVic, and you can see all the approved courses and you know for sure if you have them or not. So that's something to consider too. So as well, the universities will be looking at the grade 11 and 12 courses. So, and they have to do that because when the applications are due, like I think SFU this year is January 31st. And so obviously you're not even done semester 1 yet. So all they have to look at are the grade 12 first term marks and the grade 11 marks. So I always tell kids, don't just save up your efforts to try really hard in grade 12. It's really important because they can see actually even the grade 10 marks. So they can see the grade 10, 11, and 12 marks. And they're gonna consider that for admission because that's all they have to look at. They don't have the full grade 12 year yet. So that's important. They also, as you can see here, it says they value a well-rounded course load. So even if your child is going into arts, they'd like to see some science or math courses there. Also some courses, some maybe non-academic courses, like what are your interests? Like it tells a lot about the student if they can see what else you're good at or what else you like. As well, they like to see volunteer experience. They like to see community involvement, school involvement. These are all components that they're looking for. And I think it's actually kind of nice because it's not just the academics. They're looking for some other things. They want to have well-rounded students on their campus who are going to contribute to campus life and be positive additions on campus. So it is not too late to remind your child that they should be volunteering, maybe doing some extracurriculars. If they're not into sports, we have tons of clubs at the school they could join, and there are lots of volunteer opportunities in the New West community, and they're actually great at taking our students. So if your child has questions about that, they can come and see their counselor, and we'll be happy to share any volunteer opportunities that we know of. We always post them in counseling when we get them. Lots of people email us saying we're looking for student volunteers. So it's great to start now. It's not too early. One kind of newer thing within the last couple of years is for the literacy and numeracy tests. At this point, UBC is the only university considering looking at those for admission, just for the literacy 12. They want to see a 3 at minimum. So it's on a scale of 1 to 4, these literacy assessments. And so they want to see either a 3 or a 4 for the English 12 literacy assessment. But so far, at this point, they're the only university that's requiring that. And I think that's about it for this slide. And so for students, if you could please remind them to consult the course selection book. We want them to make good decisions when they're picking courses. I know it's very tempting to look at your friends and be like, what are you taking? And then take what they're taking, but we try to encourage them to please pick what you're interested in, pick courses that are going to help you for post-secondary, and that you will do well in, because again, they can see your grades already. At this point, they'll be looking at your grade 11 courses and your marks. So the form, this isn't, I guess, super pertinent right now, but yes, we'll need the form signed by parents. We always encourage the kids to take a picture of the form so you remember what you chose, because lots of kids say, I did not pick that. I'm like, well, I don't think that I made it up, so let me look. And sure enough, they picked it. So I said, just remember, have a picture. And also, these selections must be entered into MyEd, and they must be the same. And so this might seem obvious, but we do get 2 different versions often. One paper version, of course, is picked, and then online it's a totally different thing. So then we have to go through and change it all, and I go with what's on the paper, because it is easier to make mistakes online, maybe picking physics when you meant to pick phys ed or something. So I go with what's on the paper. So we encourage students to make sure to look side by side and make sure it's matched up, that they made the right selections. And then the counseling form, once signed by parents, needs to be returned to the counseling office so that we can have that as well as the online version. And of course, online courses are always an option. We offer a pretty wide selection of online courses. However, on the form there will be an option saying, would you like to take this online or in person? But just because you selected you'd like to take it online does not mean you have signed up for it. You need to come and see your counselor, you need to fill out a form and sign you up that way. So you're not automatically signed up, so that's important to note. And then obviously if your child has questions, they can come and ask us. We're happy to help as counselors. The classroom teachers are really great too, because honestly, if you have really specific questions about physics, for example, I'm not going to be able to answer those specific questions. It'd be best to talk to a physics or science teacher. As well, for really specific program related questions that universities, very specific things about universities, I'm not going to necessarily know those things either, and I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. So it's best to consult with an academic advisor. I can give general information, we can look together, but really specific stuff should be through an academic advisor at the university or college that your child is considering attending. And that's it. That concludes our presentation for the night. So, now, are there any questions? Any more questions? Yes.
I had a question about the language.
Mm-hmm.
You said that
The intro counts, and actually, yes, and actually, you know what, I believe UVic will accept the intro, and SFU, I can't remember if they do or not, but I think they even accept the intro 11 as the language 11. But to be safe and to be, you know, accepted everywhere, you can do up the language actually, you know, Spanish 11, for example, and then you're gonna be accepted everywhere. So, but yeah, good question. Any other questions?
Another language question, McGill University just
Yeah.
changed their language, do you know the specifics of that, or?
I think that you have to have, if you don't speak French, I think you have to, you're gonna pay more in tuition. It's like a lot more. And I think that you have to take French when you're there, commit to like learning French. But I'm not sure of the specifics, but that is like a huge deterrent, actually.
Yeah.
And the universities have actually come up with scholarship funds to help offset the cost for a lot of the kids that are coming. Because if you're an English speaker, like they're saying you have to speak French, and then your tuition is going up by like double or something.
So you would have to take French 12?
Yeah, and I
11.
think you're gonna have to do French when you're there too, cause they expect you to learn French to a certain level. So I think, we'll see how that goes, but I'm not sure, it sounds a bit of a deterrent actually, so it's unfortunate. Any other, yes?
For the PE or the physical education component, is that a required
No.
course? Okay, they're just options.
Yep, just options, yep,
Okay.
but yes, not required, grade 10's the last year, it's required. Yeah, and actually we do offer fitness and conditioning, the one course, fitness and conditioning 12, we offer online. So if your child has a home gym or a gym pass, they're able to do that course. So that's an option as well. Any other questions?
Yes, I have another one about the arts or the ADST.
Mm-hmm.
You said they have to take it sometime in grade 10, 11, or 12.
Yes,
Um,
like,
So does it matter if they haven't taken a grade 10 level? Can they take
no,
grade 12?
doesn't matter. Generally, like those courses, like say you haven't done Foods 10 and you wanna go to Foods 11, that's fine. There's not like a, it doesn't build, right? They'll just kinda meet you where you're at, and you just start learning from where you're at. Any other questions? Yes?
With that SFU for the 5 grade 12 courses required, would those be more, I know I can check online, so I'm just asking because I haven't
Mhm.
looked. But would those be more like academic kind of courses when you say 5, like
Well, it
not the
kind of-
electives?
Yeah, it kinda depends. The electives do count, some of the electives, and some of the ADSTs, like ADSTs and arts, do count actually. And that's why it's not necessarily academic. But for example, if you're going into the sciences, SFU wants to see chemistry, physics, pre-cal, and then you need your English 12, right? So that takes up 4 of the 5. So it becomes kind of academic. Some of the other courses, they might require some socials courses, English course, and then you can count some of these other things as well. And I mean, more is better, right? Like, you don't have to have only 5, you can have more than 5, and they will consider those other approved courses as well. But you need at least 5. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes?
I noticed that there's a leadership 11 that,
Mhm.
can you, I guess I could look at the course description, but, it said that it required an interview and an application.
Yes.
Is that a leadership around phys ed?
No, that's, the leadership kids, like, you guys, the U2s here. So they usually help with events in the school, like that we put on like this, for example, school photo day, school spirit days, this kind of thing. Maybe you two could speak more to it, but.
Usually every Tuesday and Thursday we meet at school at 7:40 and we help plan events like she said, like Spirit Week and like running this event as well.
Yeah, and then I believe you also get volunteer hours
Yeah,
on the
you
deal,
get
right,
60
which is
volunteer
great.
hours, which covers double the amount that you need to graduate.
Plus you get
Just
credit.
like a class,
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
limited number that would be accepted.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I think why they have an interview process is they wanna know that you're gonna be committed, because it is at 7:40 in the morning. And we do depend on students, right, like, so if we have these students and then they don't show up, that's difficult, right? So Miss McNulty wants to know that the students she has in her class are gonna show up to help and, you know, do their jobs, so.
Is it still 40 hours volunteer work?
30 to grad, yep, yep.
per year or total?
Total, yeah, total.
And how do the kids report that?
So for their careers 12 course, there is one of the modules that deals with the volunteer, and they have a form that they have to get signed by their employer. It's volunteer or work, right? 30 work or volunteer hours.
I didn't see the career course up there.
Because they do it in grade 12.
Right,
Yes,
right,
so
right, yeah.
you're ahead of the game.
Okay.
Yeah. So so 30 hours of work or volunteer, and the careers 12 teacher will be requiring that information from them. So, yeah. Any other questions about like IB, French immersion? Oh, there you are.
The socials class, you said they only need a grade 11 or a grade
Mhm.
12 socials to graduate.
Yep.
So again, they can be in grade 11 and take grade 12.
They can take a socials 12 class if the grade 11 one, doesn't look as interesting to them as one of the grade 12 ones. They can take one of those. But again, keep in mind, I'm saying you only need one socials, but keep in mind that's to graduate, right? If your program at university requires more than that, then that's something to consider as well. So they might need to take more than that. But just to graduate, they just need the one. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? See, I was kind of, I did want to mention the university stuff. I know it seems early, but it's kind of being left out in presentations before. We've left it out. But I find that then kids are kind of struggling when they're in grade 11 and thinking like, oh, I sure wish I knew to take these courses before. So we'd like to put that in this year's presentation just to make sure they kind of consider that. So, it might be a little bit stressful because they're like university already, but just to kind of consider that aspect. So, yeah. That's
Is it challenging schedule-wise to balance partial IB and regular? Because IB courses go the whole year, correct?
Yeah, it can be challenging. And one thing is the kids that are doing diploma, they get priority because they're doing like the full, so they get priority seats in the courses because they're doing the full program. So kids that are doing select courses in IB, we do our best to accommodate, but it doesn't, the courses kind of are day 1, day 2, that's how they're set up. So maybe in A block, you have day 1, like on a Monday, you might have math, day 2 on a Monday, and A block is physics. So we can't guarantee that the courses you want are gonna be a pair, right? So that's sometimes a challenge too. You might want, English and math, and it might not be a pair. So you, like in that block, like it might not run like that. So that can be a challenge. But yeah, we work with the students to see what we can make happen for them. And then they kind of have to choose, how much do I really want this course, or would I be willing to take one that's actually paired up with the course I really want? So it's kind of a case by case basis, but yeah, it's a little challenging. So, any other questions? Yes?
Question regarding the online
Mm-hmm.
courses, whether that will also be given credits?
Yes, yep, full credits. Yeah, online courses are just worth as much and as valuable as any in-person course. Yeah. And it doesn't say on your transcript, like kids often say, oh, but will it say on my transcript, will universities know if I did it online? And no, they won't. It doesn't say on there that it's an online course.
And how about the summer school?
Summer school, to my knowledge, it doesn't say anywhere on there that it's done in the summer. Just as long as they have that course and the 4 credits, that counts.
Credit and the grade will be the same as?
Yep, 4 credits. Yeah. Any other questions, comments, concerns? No? Okay. Well, thank you all very much for coming and giving us your time. And